afternoon, everyone. Championship weekend here in Phoenix. I'm not in Phoenix. I wish I was in Phoenix. Dane, how's it going?
It's going good. Sad that the season's come to an end. It feels like we were just starting it up yesterday. But
Daytona 500.
Here we are, the final race of the year, Championship 4. Let's get after it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Kyle Larson's definitely the favorite going in here, but Chase Elliott can take his back-to-back championships. Truex can go for 2. Hamlin can go for his very first one. He's had a couple close calls in the past. So tons of storylines here. Hamlin, even after last week, calling Bowman a hack. It was a pretty crazy finish there with on victory lane, or when I've never seen a car while another car was burning out go out there and like ram into him, and like, oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was I'd never seen anything like that. I thought people were gonna lose their minds.
Yeah,
it was fun. Yeah.
But outside of fantasy, you got a horse in the race here with Truex. I missed out with Kyle Busch by, it was close last week. I was really sweating. That was my sweat. I didn't have anything going in DFS at the end of the race, and I was just sweating Kyle Busch getting a couple more spots there, but it just didn't happen. So for 2 years in a row, he's not going to make the Final Four. It makes me sad. But Truex is there.
The other way.
What's that?
How's sweating the other way?
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, it was one of our drivers, so I was going to be happy, kind of either way. But I guess I want to know who your pick is. I know who your favorite driver is, but is he your pick to win?
No, I mean it's got to be Larson. I think he deserves it. I think the guy who's got the most chance to steal it from him is definitely Chase. But we'll get into it. I think Truex could be the dark horse out of this 4 for sure today. And it's not just – I do have some stuff to back that up. It's not just because I'm a fan.
I love it. Let's get into it here. Before we look at the sheet, for anyone that's tuning in that's not a member of ours, you can head over to patreon.com/JagerBombs. We have a weekly cheat sheet with tons of statistics. We'll get into it here in a bit, what's all entailed in the cheat sheet. Access to our Discord for $10 a month. And for $20 a month, you can get access to all of our sports. You can see what they are here. Everything's listed in Canadian prices. US, it's $10 a sport, $20 for all sports. And there's a yearly subscription on there as well, 16% off if you pay up annually. You can also check us out on Facebook. We have a new Facebook page at Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, as well as Instagram, same thing, at Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports. And then now I've started a TikTok just this couple days ago, Dane. I'm an old guy doing TikTok. Never thought I'd ever be here before, but it's 2021. Anything and everything can happen. So head over there. I'm doing – what I like about it is – the bunch of quick hitter videos, like 60 seconds long. For PGA, one of my plans is to actually go and do like a course preview, and that would be like 3 minutes, just something real quick, going over the course statistics, the grass, things like that, and then just quick hitter videos that I can do 3-4 times a day. So I'm absolutely loving it. So if you're on TikTok, go over there and check us out at Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports there. Getting into the cheat sheet here. Like the other 2 series, and by the way, what a finish in the Xfinity race. Did you get to watch the end?
Yeah, I've seen the end. It was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't have a horse in that race either, but wow, that 18 car, he did, without taking him out, he went in there and did everything he had to do. And just the story behind all of it, that it's his first career win, that it's been kind of a rough season in that sense that they haven't won, and they've been the team that is, maybe the best team that can't win a race. On the way to the track last weekend, their trailer hauler hit a deer carcass on the highway, and they had to limp that thing to Arizona, to get him to the race in the first place. So it was just absolutely amazing. Really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like those other 2 sports, I've got the guys in the final highlighted here. Whoever finishes first out of those 4 wins. So there is a little extra incentive. And we have seen in the past, just kind of game theory here, we have seen in the past where guys will let guys by. Now, if it was William Byron leading this race, or Alex Bowman, and Denny Hamlin was coming up to try and win or trying to get a pass, you can bet that they're going to help the Chevys over just letting Hamlin by to have a good old finish here. So it could get really exciting again.
Yeah, we saw that at Bristol. We saw how that ended with Kevin Harvick. So
Yeah,
We saw
exactly.
Chase helping out Larson there. So, yeah, you could definitely see Bowman or Byron do something like that.
For sure. Stan says any interest in Hamlin. So that just leads us right into this top tier here of these 4 drivers. Myself, you can see I'm going to share my core up here on the screen. Kyle Larson, obviously from the pole, he's dominated. If we go here and just look at the season stats, and I've got it narrowed down to playoff form of the 9 races. Denny Hamlin has definitely been the most consistent, but not really a whole bunch more than Larson, 7.2 to 8.1. But Larson has won 4 races. Led 908 laps. So Larson's definitely my number 1. I think he is the dominator here. Elliott would be my number 2. And then the GPP plays for me would be Truex and Hamlin in that top tier. Is kind of how I have them ranked. So it would be Larson, Elliott, Truex, and then Hamlin. Just because Truex, while he won here in the spring, and as well, he's starting 12th, so he gives us some place differential upside there as well. So maybe not my pick to win the race, but I definitely like him for DFS. How do you see the top tier, top 4?
Yeah, I think you got to start with those 4. And the way that I rank them is Larson, Chase, Truex, and then Hamlin. If you dig into the practice, I know a lot of people don't run like a 15 or 20 lap average, but if you look at 15 lap average, all of the top 4 except for I think Hamlin ran a 15 lap run. Truex was number 1 in 15 lap average, looked really good on the long runs, obviously didn't qualify well, so doesn't have the short run speed. But if we get some long runs in this race and there's no competition caution with practice, I do think that Truex potentially has a top 2 car. Could get out front and lead some laps there, depending. But he was a little bit quicker than Chase, who was 2nd, and Larson was actually 6th in that average. I didn't watch practice, so obviously there could be some weird laps that went into that or something in a 15-lap sample. But it's nice to see, if you're looking at Truex, that he did have that speed on the long runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 6th in 10 laps for sure. And I'm trying to sort on NASCAR there, but they seem to be having trouble with that lap average page being able to sort properly, so I can't get that up. But definitely like to see, especially going, the fact that he was 18th in 1 lap, and that kind of represents that 12th starting spot. But exactly, seeing there's definitely some upside there. So even a top 3 finish for him would put him, and barring Larson leading 100-plus laps, is going to put Truex probably in that winning lineup today without even having to win the race. So I'm with you there for sure. What are your thoughts on Logano? I have him as a core play here. Simply starting 10th. He's been awesome here. He's led the most laps over all the sample sizes outside of the last 10. The last 2 and 5 races here, finishing 2nd, 3rd, and 1st, starting 10th. He's out of it. And if there's one driver I would pick to win this race outside the top 4 or finish the highest, I guess, would be Logano. How do you feel outside of those top 4 drivers?
Yeah, I agree. Been very good here. I think he won the race, the last race you were at, right?
Yeah.
When you were trying to scatter back to the country before they locked it down.
Yeah, exactly. That seems like forever ago.
8,900 at starting 10th, a good price, when I think he's probably got top 5 upside, if not getting a few there. I mean, there could be a run that he leads some laps here over those top 4 guys for sure. I think he's the best play outside of those as far as potential dominators.
And then kind of from a game theory perspective here, before we get into any more plays, one thing I was looking at the Phoenix history tab here, detailed, kind of is the correlation from start to finish. I like to look at and just see how many drivers, start, how much qualifying position really matters. And this track, it is one of the highest in the series that it matters, like 0.794 correlation, 0.8. Like these are, we'll only see this, above 0.7 and into that 0.8 range, maybe like 5 times in the season. So seeing that a couple times here at this track over the last 5 stands out. So that's where I'm looking for my dominators from. So definitely my second dominator, I do like Elliott. I think Elliott and Larson are going to lead a majority of these laps. But I do like Logano. Like if we look at the matrix at Logano, he can get by winning the race, he can get over 6x return without any dominator points whatsoever. So I always like to look at it that way and see what they can do. That's kind of like a floor. And if he goes out and leads some laps as well, which he's proven that he can, give him 50 laps led and 20 fast laps here, he is going to be absolutely crushing his value under 9K. So I think it's going to be popular, probably top 3 in ownership. It's going to be popular build, probably going like Larson Logano or Elliott Logano. I think you can even go 1, 2, 3. I'm going to get DraftKings up here while you go over a couple other your top plays here in this mid-range.
Yeah, I think the mid-range for me after Logano, I'm personally, and except for 20 max, I'm skipping from Truex down to Logano. For me, I don't really love any of those guys. Tyler Reddick would be the next one at 8,500, starting 20th. I like that quite a bit. And then Alex Bowman as well, coming off the win last week. We know that team is going to have speed. 8,200 is going to be the cheapest one, obviously, for Hendrick. And starting 14th, I think he's got top 5 upside as well at 8,200. That's kind of where I'm going in the mid-range. Once you get down to the value plays, there's a lot of guys I want to mix in a 20 max and pair around with the different combos of dominators in the championship 4. But like I said, I kind of want to skip from Byron at 10, that whole 9K range. I'm not going to touch any of those for sure in a single entry or 3 max. And I might get a sprinkle of some of them in a 20 max. Man, I don't know that I'll get much of a sprinkle of any, though.
I'm adding Kyle Busch here as a GPP play, starting 13th. He used to be dominant here. I actually watched him win a race in Phoenix once. Seems like a long, long time ago. To give us that same kind of upside as Truex from a points per dollar perspective, even more upside than Truex. And I think he could be top 3, even though he struggled here earlier this year and even in the playoffs last year, finishing 11th. And that is a good representation as well, because he wasn't in the Final 4 when he got that 11th. So he was just kind of out of it all day, not even mentioned. I don't even think they showed him on TV last year at the end of the year. I couldn't even say goodbye or anything like that. So it's very risky, but he would be my pivot off of one of these top guys. But looking at the build here, Larson and Elliott, or it's going to be you can't really go down and fit Logano in there at 6,200. You're going really superstars and scrubs there. So I would rather, like you said, maybe go those 2 and then down into the value range and start mixing and matching like Larson Elliott 10 times type thing, and then just go down. That leaves you a 69 average. So if you go down and just kind of fit a range from 55 to 75, even the low 8K range in a 20 max, and kind of get equal exposure to all those guys, I think you can build that way. And then maybe build 10 lineups around, say, Larson and Logano 5 times, and then like Elliott and Logano 5 times. If those are your top 3, those are my top 3, and that's how I would go about doing it. Is that something that you're looking at? And if so, who are some of these value guys you're kind of putting in that core?
Yeah, for sure. I like that approach. Value plays, I think there's, like I said earlier, quite a few interesting ones, but it all starts with Chris Buescher, who I know you like. I think he's going to be popular, but 6,400 is way too cheap for that starting spot. Should be able to get a top 15 for us is the type of upside I think that he has. Other guys down there in the 7K range, pretty much all of those, I would have some exposure to, from Bubba down to Eric Jones. Stenhouse would maybe be my favorite. He was 12th here earlier this year. And then Bubba Wallace starting 25th. I mean, he's ran pretty well here in the past in the mid-teens as well. Eric Jones, I know he ran decent here when he was with Joe Gibbs, but he was right around 20th here in the 43 car. And then you look Austin Dillon, kind of going off that RCR combo that I talked about, liking Reddick, who is priced quite a bit higher, but a similar starting spot, even a little farther back for Austin Dillon, is a fine play as well.
Yeah, I don't know how high owned Dillon will be. I was trying to really think of that. I started looking at the short flat. I kind of got that grouping together, which is, again, Martinsville, Richmond, New Hampshire, Nashville, which was new to the Cup Series this year, and Phoenix, of course. And he ran really well. 7 top 20s. So he finished top 20 in every single race on those short flats this season. And he's like just a consistent 10th to 13th, it kind of seems like. So, I mean, starting 23rd and going and break that down, if he's going to be lower owned, and I'm not sure, I'm not looking at any projections or anything like that right now, but for 5X, that's a 15th place finish. Like, that's right around his consistency and like his median finish line. So, I mean, that's pretty good. And I think we have a little bit more upside with him as well. And then the pivot off him would be Stenhouse. And then I'm not on Bubba myself. Looking at it was these short flats. It's like 25th, 32nd, 26th, 21st, 26th, 16th twice, and once was Phoenix. So that's the thing there. I guess you got to decide. But other than that, he hasn't been too consistent. We do need that 15th out of him is kind of what I would be looking for. And I just don't think he's there. I kind of got him kind of in that 18th to 22nd type range this week. So I don't personally. I have more Stenhouse than Dylan. And then Liz asks Bowman over Almirola. I think just listening to you are Bowman over Almirola. Myself, I like Almirola. He gives you those little bit more place differential for a little bit cheaper, especially on FanDuel. They've got about the same, I'd say, median finish here, but Almirola has shown a lot more upside here. We had like 5 top 10s in 6 races here at this track. And then going and looking at the short flats, he's actually 6th best average finish this season on the short flats. He won, what was it, New Hampshire? He won this year? Yeah. New Hampshire, Martinsville, 6th, 14th at Richmond, and then he was 11th here at Phoenix. So personally, I would have about double the exposure of Almirola over Bowman.
Yeah, I'm like you.
Awesome.
I do like Bowman a little bit over Almirola. You could sprinkle Almirola in my eyes for GPPs. I know you like him quite a bit.
Yeah, he would be like if I was doing cash, he'd be in my cash core.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I never thought I'd say that. It's been a long time since I said that with Almirola.
That was quite a run last week from him. I mean, I kept looking up, and he was where did he end up finishing? I mean, it was up there.
Season. Okay, so Almirola.
Other than trying to take out
6th.
Truex there, I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know. I guess you probably saw that on that.
Yeah, that was
going into turn 1. He like shoved Truex right up out of the groove up into the marbles. He said, but yeah, that was I don't know what the deal was there, but that was a nice run for that team who struggled a lot of the year. Maybe it was
a good finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they feel like a team that's just trying to get some momentum going in, to finish the year off type thing. And we can get 5X out of him right around, provided some fast laps and stuff, right around 11th, 12th place finish. So I do like his upside of, can get a top 10. I could see another top 10 after that good run last week. So that would be my reasoning for that. Ryan asks Briscoe as a pivot. Let me find him here on the sheet off of Buscher. So
yeah, I like that.
You do like that? Starting 22nd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would be definitely the first pivot for me off of Buscher. I'm going to have tons of Chris Buscher, though, today.
Same.
But you could play both together if you wanted to jam some of those top guys in there. Nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, Briscoe would be my first guy in that range if I was coming off of Buscher as a pivot.
Yep. And what was I just looking at? It's kind of like his median finish on these short flat tracks. His upside looks like kind of around 15th, I would say. Median around that right where he's starting today. So right where he starts at 22nd gets you 20 points. So that's not really going to do it. He's going to have to move forward and probably get you we want like 25 points. So like a top 20 would be all right as a floor. And I think that's totally doable. And, like I said, his upside is like a 15th, which kind of puts you in that 6X range. So that would definitely, or over 6X, to be honest with you. So there we go right there. So I definitely like that.
Yeah. And then finishing off for me, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the season of 2021 without just having a sprinkle of Anthony Alfredo.
There it is.
Is slower than dirt, but hey, I'm still going to have some of him starting 30th. Hope he finishes around 20th. And he's 5,400, but I do clearly like Michael McDowell more at 5,700, starting 28. That he would be my preference, but I'll definitely have a sprinkle of those two. I'm going to try to limit as how much I go below Chase Briscoe, though I don't want much of McDowell or Alfredo. And sometimes when I start building these teams, I get to the point where I want these top guys jammed in there, and I have to end up with more than I want. Today, I'm going to make sure I don't let myself do that.
Did my comment show up in chat? Yeah, there it is. I had to log in through my phone because I can't do it on the computer. It doesn't allow you to put an emoji, so I had to log in through my phone. I'm kind of limited down here in this value range, but to Haley and McDowell, I think they're kind of like going to finish right around where they did earlier this year, the 23rd, 24th, which puts you in that 4 to 5x range. Just with my build that I've got going, I'm not doing multiple lineups today, but he would be a pivot. He's going to be a lot of lower owned for sure. So I'm there with you, I guess, for that. But even if I was only doing 3 max, I would keep it to Haley and McDowell myself, because I'm going to have a lot of Buescher and Dillon, which is going to get me and allow me to get combinations of Larson and Elliott, and Larson Logano and Elliott Logano. If you're building a 3 max, that's kind of the way I would be going about building that for sure. So Suarez, did you mention Suarez at all?
No, I don't think if I have any, it's going to be maybe 2 out of 20 lineups, and he's never going to touch a single entry. But looking right in that range, I was thinking I was about to talk about that question, but also, how nice is it? Last race of the year, we don't really have to worry about playing Ryan Newman. It's like been one of those years that he starts so far back, you almost got to play him, and then thank God we don't have to play him. He started like 19th.
Yeah. And been terrible here lately. The trend has gone the wrong way for a long time with him. He used to be so consistent.
Yeah, I'm not
used to be
completely up on all these the changes yet going into next year. I mean, I know some of them as far as team wise, like Bragg or Keselowski, but Newman's out, right? That's where Keselowski's going.
Correct? Yeah, and part owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just seems like that team's
I don't know if Newman's going to be part-time somewhere or at that team or what's happening with him. I haven't really checked on that lately or any of that kind of news. I kind of get into that next week. Might even do some write-ups on kind of early news going into next year just to be ready for – because the offseason isn't that long. While this is the last race, we have like February 1st or 2nd week in February already, and we're back to the next season. So – and it's a big season. I don't even know if practice is full yet. I don't know if they've made that announcement on practice. It almost has to be with if you're moving to that, brand new car. So go ahead and assume so. But yeah, so I'm going to make a quick build here with a Larson Dominator, Logano top play, Almirola, like I talked about. This would be, if I'm doing cash today, which I'm going to run some cash lineups because I really do like the build, this would be my 4-driver core, and it leaves you 7,500 left over to really kind of go and down to McDowell if you want to go a little more stars and scrubs with it. Gets you up to Keselowski or Reddick, like you said. I don't mind that starting 20th. I think he's got 10th place upside there as well. I think Harvick could finish strong, but Reddick being a little bit cheaper, I guess it doesn't matter. This is the last spot, but he gives you more upside with that place differential, even a little bit higher floor with that place differential as well. So you could definitely go that way, or you can kind of stick in this mid-range with a lot of guys that we talked about, Austin Dillon, and then like up to, I don't mind Chastain here either. A little more of a GPP play for him, but if you like Bubba, Bubba's right there as well. And, Stenhouse, he's never a cash play really, unless you're on like Talladega and he's starting from the rear. But other than that, so that's kind of my 4-driver core today, building there. Any parting words here? If there are no more final questions,
I would say my GPP core, I am going to actually go with Truex GPP core. I'll have about the same amount as him as Chase Elliott, but my core would be Larson, Truex, Buescher, and I'm debating on the last spot, but I'm leaning toward Austin Dillon there.
So that
which is
right
scary
there,
because it feels like he wrecks every other week. But
and that still leaves you 7,200. So again, you can go a lot of different ways.
Lower price because that would be I would rather play Reddick, I think, than Austin Dillon, and I don't. With that build, you can definitely play both. Yeah, but you're going to need two of probably those guys in the 6K range to make that work for sure.
Yeah, and that's where McDowell and Haley are. Ryan was asking about Haley or Alfredo. For me, Haley feels a lot safer than Alfredo, so I'll go that way. Even looking at, we've got practice up here. I was going to look at this this lower range. Yeah, McDowell was best in practice. Alfredo was the only one that ran a 10-lap average. He actually had a better 10-lap average than Suarez. And then we have, 31st in 1 lap. Nothing really stands out down here, to be honest. LaJoy was 19th in 1 lap speed, but he started 24th. You could take a stab on him too. Yeah, so that's kind of the way I look at that. So Custer definitely out, starting 7th, being he was 20th in practice. What did he finish here in the spring? 31st, yeah. So he had a top 10 here. That would be last spring. But since then, it's 28th, 31st. So starting 7th, there's too many guys around him that have way more place differential, floor, and upside to play Custer.
Yeah.
But other than that, in all these ranges, there's a lot of different options that you can pivot off. There's not really one clear. Once you get outside of those top 4, maybe even below Logano, there's a lot of different options within there. There isn't one really that stands out in each tier of pricing. So I think the ownership overall is going to be spread out a little bit more, where you're not going to see like 3 or 4 drivers outside of outside of the top 4 that are in the final championship 4 that are going to be like super high owned over everyone else. You don't get crazy today is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I think we're in for a good race. I hope we see a good ending. Kind of want to see. I don't know that a restart would be awesome, but I think it would be fun to see somebody catch on a long run. Somebody, probably Larson, be first. Somebody in second, Chase or Truex or even Hamlin, have a race to the end, chasing them down. And actually get there for the last few laps. I think that would be fun.
Something I love about, first of all, the new rule of the choose rule on restarts. Yeah, I love because you can have a guy that has a good pit stop and maybe picks up a place or two. And then because guys are going to the bottom on a certain track or going to the top here at the end, the first 2 or 3 drivers sometimes will go to the top. You can move up like 6 spots. In certain scenarios, and we've seen it lots, so that's a huge advantage. And then just Phoenix itself, once they converted the track and have that restart where they're going 4 or 5 wide at times, it's just an amazing spot for a final restart of a race, all the way around for 2 or 3 laps on a green white checker. So absolutely love those 2 things for this final. So yes, please come down to a final restart in overtime. Would love to see that.
Yep.
Right on. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Looks like everything's locking here right away. And let's go get some green screens. Thanks for joining me this week, Dane. I'm glad we had a later show. Thanks for the season. It's been awesome. We'll be back. Like I said, it's going to be a very short off season. Bring some new things to next year's shows, next year's sheets, everything like that. And let's go have a day, everyone.
Good luck, everybody.